Welcome back to the Caribou Data Science Challenge. Today is September 4th, 2020. I'm getting ready to run the first of my 4 data reports. This report is titled Spain's Battle with COVID-19, or maybe even Spain's COVID-19 Spain in a nutshell. Okay. The data for this one comes from the European Center for Disease Prevention and Control. And let's get started here. We went through this a few times before. We load the library. By the way, this here gets rid of the scientific notation, the exponential notation in your numbers. So we just loaded our SQLite library. Now we load our data. Huh, that's interesting. That's sort of interesting, isn't it? Huh, that's interesting. Let's do this here first. Let's come up here. Certainly wasn't expecting this. Oh, okay. All right, I remember what I did now. Hmm. 5 variables, countries. Okay, this is kind of interesting. Uh, Not the way to start off a morning, but let's just see what we got down here now. First of all, get rid of this. Come back over here, open up the LibreOffice. Open up this. While we're here, just give this a year, month, date. It never hurts to save this as a CSV file. Then let's come back over to database. Run run the reports again. Run this. Run this. And run this. All right, I changed that to date then. Okay. No, I changed it to your month. Doesn't really make you do it. I'm going to rename it down there anyway. Okay. Let's just check what this data actually looks like. Oh, let us see. Let us see. Let's just run this. Okay. What do we want to do here? We don't really need to. We don't actually need. Let's just try. Let's just try this. Except we don't want to do it. We want to. You know what? Let's do. Let's do an about face on this. Let's don't change the column names because we changed the column names. All right. Now you have to go back in and change all the other variables. So you want to do this. Very good. And while we're here, let's go ahead and do a sort. Okay. Let's run this again, see how it looks. Very good. Okay, so that should be fine. All right, run this again. We shouldn't need to do this, but let's just do it anyway to make sure. Okay, now let's check one more time, European numbers. So now let's come back. Now let's return to Spain. Spain has definitely been struggling recently. Cases are spiking, deaths, well, outside of one day, the deaths didn't look that bad. So let's see what's going on with the cases nowadays. Excuse me. 4. Let's run this. So we got some numbers. Let's get rid of these summaries here. I'm sure they're a wonderful thing, but it just confuses matters. All right. And we're pulling only the data from the first spike, which is back in April. So let's take a look at our first plot. Okay. Okay. This is a little weird. I have to be perfectly honest, I'm not exactly sure what happened. Did we not get Spain as the numbers? Huh. This just does not make any sense. Let's go here. Do another plot. Is this a sorting issue? That really is interesting. Let's come over here. Maybe see if we can find an example of Ohio. This should have a sort function in it. Top 5. Let's come back up here. See how this works. Interesting. So that was the problem. Note to self, don't forget to sort the data. Again, unfortunately, nothing's really changed. Spike continues, as you can see here, although it appears to drop down. It was back up here yesterday, and here we are today. Okay, deaths you can see are still holding under 200 a day, probably maybe 50 to 75 a day. Uh, Take a look at the current spike, which began around June 1st. Why does this do this? I already sorted it once. Let's do this. Let's try this. Okay, interesting. Now you can see exactly what's happening here. Spike continues. Create some weekly aggregate functions. Now let's do a series of bar plots. Here you can see this, the spike continues upward. This is certainly not a good case. It's almost caught since it's almost caught last week's number. We have one more day to go, so it's almost certainly catch last week's number, if not pass it a little bit. Take a look at weekly deaths. You can see that the deaths continue to remain at a fairly low level. Okay, fairly low level. Let's take a look at something here. Let's take a look at weekly deaths. Okay, let's do a sort. Let's do a sort. Okay, for the week of 8/30, which was last week, they had 223 cases. For the week before that, well, this should be the starting date, so this should be the 30th. Okay, so these most certainly didn't pass the number of cases yet last week. Okay, this isn't really a very good situation. Let's take a look at monthly. Nothing really surprising. A huge spike in August, surpassing the spike in April and March and April. Uh, we're off to a start here. I'm not quite sure what this is. I mean, this is September. This is the week beginning with August 30th. And deaths. Okay, deaths, excuse me, as we know, are still around, hovering around the 200 mark for the end of last week and the first part of this week. Yeah, I'm actually going to skip the weekly means. I'm not sure that's very useful, but the nutshell is uh, Spain is still struggling, certainly with cases, but even more so with maybe some deaths now, because the deaths are up in the high 150 to early 200 cases per week. Okay, but if we say what? If we say what's 220 cases a week? Two divided by 7. Okay, so right now for the week of August 30th, which extends to September 5th, uh, Spain is averaging about 31 deaths per day. And over here, deaths, no cases, I'm sorry. So for 8:30 for this week, they had 49,227 divided by 7. Oh wow! So for the week beginning Sunday, August 30th, this week, uh, you had 49,227 cases so far. That works out to 7,032 cases per day. Wow. Oh man. Well, so the Spain is, I don't know. Spain's not doing well. I mean, I like to try to candy coat it, and give you a nice number for the deaths, saying the deaths are low, but honestly, uh, that's not the case. They really need to get the cases under control, and they need to do something to slow down the deaths. Anyway, so that's it for the Spanish in a nutshell report for the COVID-19 data for August 4th, or for September the 4th, 2020. If you haven't done so already, please click that red subscriber button at the bottom right hand corner, and also because right now I'm stuck at I'm stuck at 24 subscribers. I would like to get to 30 by the end of this week, which is tomorrow. anyway, anyways, once again, thanks for stopping by. We'll catch you in the next report.